Every night as your head sinks into the softness of your pillow, something invisible begins to stir, not in your room, but in your energy field. While the world teaches us to chase success from sunrise to sunset, the truth is this. Some of your life's most powerful shifts happen in the quiet dark, when you're not even awake to witness them. The space beneath your pillow, so often overlooked, holds more influence than most people will ever realize. It's not just cotton and fabric, it's a gateway, a field where intention, memory, and subconscious alignment collide. And in traditional Eastern energy practice, what you place there can either drain your future or charge it. This isn't a myth, and it's not about superstition. It's about influence, silent, symbolic, and subtle, but real. Your pillow isn't just for sleep. It's the last thing your energy touches before you lose conscious control. And for that reason alone, it deserves more respect than we give it. Today on New Day Mindfulness, we're going to dive deep into 3 unassuming, inexpensive objects you can place beneath your pillow, not to wish for miracles, but to align your sleep with the outcomes you actually care about. We're not talking about lucky charms or vague affirmations. These are grounded tools backed by centuries of energetic understanding. Techniques that redirect the current of your own life in ways most people never notice until it's too late. Some attract clarity, some absorb emotional static, and one in particular acts like a key that quietly adjusts your relationship with prosperity while you rest. But before we break these down, there's something I want to ask of you. If you believe in the power of intention, even just a little, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who values mindful living, and subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. We're on the journey toward 2,000 followers, and with your help, we can grow this space into something even more meaningful, where real energy practices are shared, demystified, and made practical for your life. Because when ancient wisdom meets real-world action, things move. So, let's begin. Your pillow is waiting, and what you hide beneath it tonight might quietly shape what tomorrow brings. Salt and natural fabric. Energy absorber salt, in its raw, unprocessed form, is more than just a seasoning or a shelf-stable preservative. Throughout human history, across countless civilizations, it has been revered as a purifier, a boundary setter, and an energetic stabilizer. But in today's world, we often underestimate how something so ordinary can serve a deeply restorative role in our private space, specifically while we sleep. When used correctly and intentionally, salt wrapped in natural, breathable fabric becomes an invisible but potent ally for those who unknowingly carry emotional residue and energetic weight into bed. The modern home is saturated with stimulation, digital noise, emotional complexity, and relational tension. Even after the lights go out and we unplug from our devices, we remain connected to thought patterns, worry loops, and unresolved fragments from the day. And for many, this leads to an increasingly common yet poorly understood phenomenon: energetic fatigue. These are the people who sleep for 8, even 9 hours, yet wake up feeling foggy, irritable, or more tired than before. The body may have rested, but the energetic field did not. This is where salt, specifically sea salt, enters not as a superstition, but as a practical, energetic remedy. When a teaspoon of unrefined sea salt is wrapped in unbleached cotton or muslin and placed under your pillow, something begins to shift, not in dramatic spiritual terms, but in subtle reorganization. Salt has a molecular structure capable of absorbing humidity and odor, which are physical reflections of its deeper energetic function. It draws in and holds what the body or environment cannot process or release on its own. Just as we clean our floors, wash our clothes, and rinse our dishes, there must be an equivalent cleansing for the ambient charge we lie down with. Sleep, after all, is the single most vulnerable time in the daily cycle. It is the only moment when the conscious mind is offline and the subconscious is fully exposed. If that exposure is surrounded by chaotic energy, resentment, fear, clutter, the energetic imprint of arguments or worry, then sleep does not heal, it agitates. It becomes an amplifier of disorder. But by placing a salt sachet beneath your pillow, you create a localized neutral field that acts like an energetic sponge, absorbing what the body cannot metabolize. And over time, you may notice that the very texture of your rest begins to change. Dreams become clearer, thoughts become softer. You stop clenching your jaw. You wake up more alert, not because you've slept longer, but because your sleep was unburdened. It's important to understand that not all salt is created equal. Processed table salt, which has been stripped of minerals and infused with additives, carries little to no vibrational potential. In contrast, unprocessed sea salt, especially that which retains its moisture and mineral complexity, has the structural density to act as a stabilizing agent. When wrapped in cotton, a material that allows for breathability and transmission, it doesn't leak or overpower. Instead, it becomes a quiet buffer. The placement also matters. The salt should be under the pillow, but not in direct contact with the head. This ensures you receive the benefits without interfering with your physical comfort. Some choose to place it at the far corner of the pillowcase, while others prefer to slip it into the pillow's inner pocket if one exists. The most important rule is not to overthink it. Let the object do the work. Your role is simply to place it with a clear intention and let it act as a nightly filter. You should not reuse the same salt sachet indefinitely. Energetically speaking, salt that has absorbed heaviness becomes dense. Over time, it can act more like a container of stagnant energy than a cleanser. That's why it's recommended to replace the salt every 7 days. Some people prefer to do it on a Sunday night, symbolizing a fresh start to the week. Others align it with moon phases, but there's no need to add that complexity unless it resonates personally. When discarding the old salt, avoid flushing it or discarding it inside the home. The best way is to bury it in the soil, far from where you sleep, or to release it into flowing water. If that's not accessible, wrap it and dispose of it in a sealed bag outside your home, never in a bedroom trash bin. What's crucial is that the salt does not linger. Its job is to carry away what no longer belongs to you. Skeptics often ask, does a pouch of salt really change anything? And the honest answer is this: not if you expect it to change your bank account, your relationships, or your fate. But if you're open to small, intentional changes that improve your energy environment, then yes, it changes more than most people notice. Salt doesn't grant miracles, it doesn't conjure wealth, but it clears space. And in energetic principles, space is everything. Without space, new opportunities can't arrive. Without space, clarity can't land. Without space, your nervous system remains in subtle tension, even while your body lies still. Salt makes space, quietly, gently, every night. This technique is particularly useful for those in emotionally intense professions: caregivers, therapists, entrepreneurs, executives, people who carry other people's emotions throughout the day, even unintentionally. It's also a powerful support for those recovering from breakups, betrayal, or long periods of anxiety. When emotional debris lingers, it clings to us like fog. It weighs down our ability to dream clearly and sets the tone for another fatigued day. And so we repeat the cycle, unaware that healing is being delayed not by lack of sleep, but by lack of energy hygiene. Salt restores that hygiene. Another benefit often overlooked is how the practice reshapes your relationship with your bedtime ritual. Once you introduce even one small object beneath your pillow with clear purpose, you begin to reclaim a space that modern life has invaded. The phone screen, the buzzing thoughts, the late-night to-do list. They all lose strength when you create a new association with sleep. You begin to see rest not as collapse, but as preparation. The salt acts as a cue. It says, we release now, we cleanse now, we restore now. That pattern, repeated nightly, reconditions your nervous system and your emotional field toward restoration. Even those who claim they don't feel energy report subtle changes after 2 or 3 weeks of consistent salt use. It's not that the salt transforms your life. It's that it gently stops you from carrying things into tomorrow that were meant to be put down today. And that, for many, is the only difference between a stuck life and a flowing one. It's the quiet boundary between overwhelm and clarity. Not dramatic, not mystical, but grounded, practical, repeatable. So the next time you find yourself waking up groggy, resentful, mentally scattered, or simply uninspired, don't just change your diet or your mattress. Look at your energy field. Look at what your sleep environment is absorbing. And then ask, is this space neutral? Is it clean? Is it mine? If the answer is no, let the salt work beside you. Night after night, in silence, until clarity returns, not because you have forced it, but because you finally made room. And sometimes that's all the body and mind were ever asking for. Metal coin with a central void, wealth conduit. A coin may seem like an everyday object, small and forgettable, but when chosen with symbolic awareness and placed intentionally under your pillow, it becomes a quiet participant in shaping the energetic tone of your sleep and, by extension, your waking life. In feng shui symbolism, the ancient Chinese coin, round in shape with a square hole at its center, represents more than currency. It is a condensed archetype of balance. The round exterior embodies the expansive, limitless quality of heaven, while the square center signifies grounded effort, structure, and the earthly plane. Together, these shapes form the union of intention and action, vision and discipline, idea and execution. When this coin is placed beneath your pillow during times of financial uncertainty, or when making pivotal decisions about career, investment, or personal growth, it functions not as a charm, but as a stabilizing emblem, quietly reinforcing a mental state of alignment between material pursuit and inner purpose. The act of positioning the coin under the pillow is not about superstition. It's a tactile form of affirmation. You are signaling to your subconscious that you are open to structure, stability, and opportunity, not desperation. This is critical. When people enter high-pressure financial periods, they often lean into chaos without realizing it. Fragmented thoughts, late-night anxiety, endless scrolling for solutions that don't align with their true path. By introducing a symbol like the ancient-style coin into your sleep environment, you disrupt this cycle. The coin says, there is order, there is value, there is continuity. You don't have to obsess, you have to remember. This practice is best reserved for the moments of transition. Not every night, not indefinitely, but when the road forks and you need inner clarity more than surface information. For instance, if you're considering switching careers, taking a financial risk, launching a project, or recovering from a monetary loss, this coin serves as a bridge, linking your outer strategy with your inner calibration. It reminds the deeper parts of your mind that money is not an enemy to be chased or feared. It is a current that responds to structure, respect, and consistency. When placed under your pillow, it doesn't generate wealth, but it does help restore your inner narrative around what wealth means and how it flows. Positioning is important. If the coin features characters or engravings, always place it so that the marked side faces upward. In energy symbolism, what faces up represents what is being declared. When the coin's symbolic language is upright, It sends the message that you are ready for financial clarity, not confusion, circulation, not stagnation. Just as the coin's square hole once allowed it to be strung and carried across great distances, its symbolic energy, when placed in the intimacy of your sleep space, can encourage your mind to connect financial vision with financial action. Let's break down why this shape matters. A circle without a center floats. It spins endlessly. It might expand forever but lacks form. A square without surrounding fluidity can become rigid, stuck in patterns that no longer serve. But the coin, the ancient coin, blends both. It teaches us that expansion must pass through structure, and structure must live inside possibility. That's why this object, small as it is, holds such energetic sophistication. It's not the monetary value that matters. It could be brass, bronze, or even copper-plated alloy. What counts is the recognition that you are sleeping with a symbol of stable receptivity, open to prosperity, but not addicted to it. You're reminding yourself that good things arrive not by force, but by design. There's also something psychologically powerful about using a physical token to disrupt unconscious scarcity loops. Scarcity isn't just a condition of lacking money. It's a habit of thinking there will never be enough. Time, support, options. These beliefs often settle deepest in our subconscious, activated during nighttime when the mind replays unresolved doubts. Introducing the coin isn't about solving those problems. It's about preventing them from hardwiring further. Every time you feel the presence of that coin beneath your head, even slightly, you're counter-signaling that you trust yourself to navigate forward with clarity. It's important to be selective about the coin you choose. Not all coins carry equal symbolic charge. A dirty penny pulled from a pocket of laundry lint won't have the same effect as a clean, intentional object chosen specifically for this practice. The more attention you bring to the act of choosing, preparing, and placing the coin, the more powerful its influence. This is not about magic, it's about coherence. Energy flows where intention is clear. That coin is a reflection of your mental infrastructure. How well you treat it echoes how well you treat your financial life as a whole. Let's bring this down to real-world application. Picture someone at the top of global wealth, someone like Warren Buffett. Though he may not use coins beneath his pillow, the man is famous for maintaining rituals of psychological structure. He reads for hours, follows predictable routines, and values simplicity. One could argue that his entire life is built on the same principle the ancient coin represents: expanding prosperity through disciplined form. In one interview, Buffett even admitted that the best investment decision he ever made was not in a stock, but in refining how he thinks, training his mind to see money not as a gamble, but as a system. The coin under your pillow doesn't make you Warren Buffett, but it helps you access the kind of thinking that people like him live by: strategic, rooted, focused. In times of chaos, people will look for shortcuts. But sustainable wealth does not live in shortcuts. It lives in systems, thought systems, energy systems, behavioral systems. The coin reminds you of this during sleep, a time when your conscious ego lets go and your mental patterns run free. If those patterns are dominated by fear, the day ahead begins with constriction. But if you sleep beside a symbol of circular motion passing through structure, your mind learns to adapt that pattern. It also matters where you place the coin in relation to your head. Some prefer center beneath the pillow. Others place it slightly off to the left, associating that side with receptivity. Neither is wrong, but do not scatter it among other symbolic items. The coin should stand alone. That's part of its integrity. Prosperity does not like confusion. It flows better where the message is direct and uncluttered. Treat the coin as you would a trusted advisor. Invite it in only when you are ready to listen. And when his job is done, when the decision has been made, when the anxiety passes, retire it with respect. Store it in a box, envelope, or even frame it. The energy of appreciation preserves the symbolic relationship for future use. Now consider this. If you were to make a single financial change in your life, whether it's budgeting, investing, leaving a draining job, or starting a new venture, wouldn't it help to begin that change from a state of internal stability rather than panic? That is what this practice prepares you for. Not immediate wealth, but emotional readiness. And emotional readiness is what makes sustainable action possible. In every field, from real estate to entrepreneurship to personal finance, what separates people who thrive from those who burn out isn't luck. It's structure married to vision. That's exactly what the ancient coin embodies. So the next time you lie down on your pillow with worry crowding your thoughts, reach for that coin. Not because you believe in luck, but because you believe in systems. And your mind is one of the most complex systems you will ever manage. The coin helps you refine it, not through force, but through symbol. It says gently and without fanfare, you know what matters. You know how to choose. You are ready. That signal, repeated each night, doesn't change reality overnight, but it changes the way you move through it. And in the long arc of life, that might just be the difference between uncertainty and alignment, between spinning and moving forward, between chasing money and inviting it. The coin is not a magic solution. It's a metaphor made tangible. And sometimes that's all your subconscious needs to start building a new financial story. One dream, one decision, one silent night at a time. Sandalwood sliver, or clean-dried bark, cognitive reset. Sandalwood is not just a scent. It's a symbol, a subtle language carried in the grain of aged wood that speaks to something deeper than the senses. When a sliver of sandalwood or a piece of clean, natural bark is placed beneath your pillow, it does not cast spells or shift the stars, but it does something far more practical. It recalibrates the rhythm of your thoughts, not through force, but through resonance. This type of wood carries the energy of stillness, and that stillness isn't emptiness. It's concentration without effort, awareness without noise. In a world defined by acceleration, more goals, more notifications, more ambition, this piece of wood becomes a quiet interruption, a message to the mind that some things in life are allowed to unfold slowly. The energy of forests isn't frantic, trees do not rush, roots do not scream for attention, and yet they build empires of canopy and time. This is the essence you are inviting into your subconscious space when you allow sandalwood to rest beneath your pillow. The modern mind is rarely still. It jumps from goal to obligation, from what we didn't finish today to what might go wrong tomorrow. And for those in high-pressure roles, founders, executives, freelancers, creators, this restlessness doesn't switch off at night. It carries itself into bed, hidden in the tightness of the jaw, the tension in the forehead, the racing of the inner dialogue that never seems to yield. You might be physically exhausted but mentally alert. You lie down hoping for rest, but your brain is still scripting emails, managing conflicts, or strategizing outcomes. This is ambition's shadow, an overextension of drive that turns into loops of overthinking. The very trait that brought success now becomes the cause of fragmentation. And if left unchecked, that loop starts to rewrite how you dream, how you wake, how you speak. The body feels heavier, the direction less clear. That's where sandalwood enters, not to cure ambition, but to hold space for it to breathe. This piece of wood, when chosen intentionally and placed under the pillow, serves as a symbolic boundary. It tells your inner executive, your inner strategist, your inner analyst that its shift is over. It's not about turning off your mind. It's about changing the tempo. Sandalwood vibrates with the frequency of long-term vision. It represents not the spark of productivity, but the root of purpose. And when that energy sits close to your subconscious for several hours each night, it begins to influence how thoughts form. Where there was urgency, there becomes pacing. Where there was anxiety, there becomes structure. Insight doesn't rise from the top of mental chatter. It emerges from underneath when the noise recedes. Sandalwood helps create the conditions for that recession. It also creates a sensory cue that conditions the nervous system. Though the scent may not always be detectable in small slivers, its presence, its density, its texture, all signal to the body a return to natural rhythm. You may not consciously smell it. You may forget it's even there, but your energy field does not. Energy responds to the quality of material around it. And wood, especially aged, clean wood like sandalwood, carries with it a story of slow resilience. This isn't decorative, this is symbolic conditioning. It's a decision to prioritize cognitive spaciousness over continuous productivity. In high-level work environments, that shift can make the difference between burnout and breakthrough. For those struggling with sleep patterns rooted in hyper-responsibility or mental performance pressure, this method offers a counterbalance. It's especially useful for people whose careers depend on clarity, CEOs who need sharp judgment, artists whose inspiration feels blocked, analysts who need deeper pattern recognition. The irony is that more thinking rarely solves overthinking. What's required is spacing, and placing sandalwood beneath the pillow does more than occupy physical space. It softens cognitive grip. It makes room for reflection without intrusion. The kind of mental processing that leads to better decisions the next morning without conscious planning. You wake with answers you didn't chase, directions you didn't force. That is what true insight feels like. Unlike herbs or leaves that lose potency over time, sandalwood retains its energetic structure for much longer. A single chip can be used for several weeks, even months, before needing replacement. However, it's important to care for it. Don't toss it into your drawer between uses or let it sit under a dirty pillow. Wipe it clean occasionally. Treat it as you would a sacred object, not for its mystical powers, but for the symbolic relationship it holds with your sleep. Every tool we use to shape our energy field deserves maintenance. When you treat the object with respect, you treat the attention behind it with respect. And that intention reinforces your identity, not the one tied to your title or resume, but the one that guides how you think when no one is watching. There's another subtle layer to why sandalwood is effective. In many Eastern traditions, including Feng Shui and Ayurvedic design, wood represents the energy of direction and growth. But not just any growth. It's associated with vertical energy, the kind that rises, that extends, that plans beyond immediacy. When you sleep with sandalwood under your head, you're placing your deepest cognitive processing in contact with the symbol of upward growth. And growth doesn't mean expansion in all directions. It means the refinement of focus, the ability to rise through aligned decisions. If you've ever felt stuck between too many ideas, too many options, too many conflicting strategies, this practice can help. It doesn't tell you what to do. It reduces the noise so you can hear your own direction again. Some users have paired this practice with a nightly journal prompt. Nothing elaborate, just one question written on paper. What do I no longer need to carry into tomorrow? Then they place that question near the sandalwood, or simply hold it in mind as they lay down. Over time, the presence of the wood becomes associated with release, not letting go in a dramatic way, but setting things down. The same way a forest floor welcomes what falls, without judgment, without resistance. You don't need to discard every ambition. You just need to stop carrying them all at once. Unlike stronger aromatics like eucalyptus or camphor, sandalwood doesn't shock the system. It doesn't overpower. It merges. That quality alone makes it ideal for sleep environments, where subtler forms of energy do their best work. The goal isn't sedation, it's attunement. When your body is resting but your mind is still hypervigilant, you don't regenerate. When both begin to harmonize, recovery becomes possible, not just physically, but cognitively. And cognitive recovery is what sustains creative output, executive clarity, emotional stability, and long-term decision-making. Now consider how most high performers operate. They push through exhaustion. They delay rest. They override natural cycles in pursuit of more output. This works until it doesn't. Eventually, the system pushes back. Mental fatigue sets in, creativity collapses, decision quality suffers. The solution isn't just more vacation or meditation apps. It's about changing the signals we feed our mind every night. Sandalwood is one of those signals, a reminder that stability doesn't slow you down, it anchors you. That space isn't the opposite of momentum. It's what gives momentum direction. So when you place that small piece of sandalwood beneath your pillow, you're not looking for magic. You're setting a tone. You're saying to your mind, we don't have to solve everything tonight. We just need to sleep with stability. And from that stillness, solutions will come. Not because you chase them in your dreams, but because you stop drowning them in noise. This isn't about belief, it's about permission. The permission to rest with purpose, to let your thoughts breathe, to allow your ambition to sleep without collapsing your sense of peace. One small piece of wood, one intention, one night at a time. That's how you begin to build a quieter, sharper, more grounded mind. Not through effort, but through signal. Sandalwood is that signal. Let it do its work and trust that growth, real growth, doesn't need to scream. It just needs space, and sleep is where that space begins. 5 things that interfere with sleep energy. What we place under our pillow may seem inconsequential, but in energetic terms, it speaks volumes to the mind during its most impressionable hours. While certain objects can harmonize the energy field and support restorative sleep, others do the exact opposite, disrupting calm, triggering subconscious alertness, or introducing emotional clutter that lingers beneath the surface. Sleep is not simply the absence of waking. It's a sensitive and sacred window where the brain reorganizes, the nervous system recalibrates, and the emotional body begins to exhale. And yet, many unknowingly place items beneath or around their pillow that introduce interference into this regenerative space. These objects carry what can only be called incomplete signals, fragments of meaning, unfinished energetic stories, unresolved loops that your subconscious picks up and attempts to process while your conscious mind sleeps. Below are 5 common categories of objects that may appear harmless, even practical, but in truth compromise the very field you rely on to rest, reset, and renew. First, sharp objects. Anything with a blade, edge, or point, including scissors, knives, letter openers, or even overly pointed pens, symbolically carries an energy of division and alertness. In Feng Shui, sharp objects are understood not only as literal hazards, but as energetic interrupters. Their shape pierces the field, cutting through the natural softness required for the body to surrender into deep rest. Even if you aren't aware of their presence, the subconscious registers the signal. Tension, sharpness in energetic language equals vigilance. When your nervous system is in a vigilant state, even subtly, your sleep will be shallow, your dreams fragmented, and your physical recovery compromised. These objects may be stored under the pillow for convenience, especially in shared households or when one feels a need for protection. But energetically, they represent the exact opposite of protection. They keep you in a loop of unconscious defense. Remove them. Your sleep is a boundary in itself. It doesn't need a blade to defend it. Second, Electronics, phones, smartwatches, earbuds, remote controls, or any digital devices emit more than just electromagnetic fields. They carry unfinished business, texts not responded to, notifications waiting, alarms, reminders, apps left open in the background. These are modern-day open tabs for your brain. Even in airplane mode, their presence close to your sleeping head maintains a vibration of connectivity, of interruption. And that undermines one of the core principles of deep sleep, disconnection. True rest requires a severance from the daily input-output cycle. When a device rests under your pillow, it may not buzz, but it hums. Energetically, it hums. Its potential to deliver information, to demand attention, remains intact. Your mind senses that. And that sensory awareness prevents a complete descent into the delta brainwave state where full healing and mental recalibration occur. Place your phone across the room. Let your sleep space be a zone of signal absence, not signal readiness. Third, photographs of others, even those we love. This one surprises many people. It seems sweet, sentimental, even comforting to keep a photo of a partner, child, or loved one close to the heart while we sleep. But from an energy perspective, a photograph is not just an image. It's a portal to a relationship. Every time you see it, your brain unconsciously processes memories, associations, conversations, responsibilities, emotional texture. And when that photo is beneath your pillow, its signal leaks into your rest space. The mind begins to orbit around the person, not consciously, but in soft loops of thought. What do they need? How are they? Did I show up well for them today? This process is subtle but real. Your sleep becomes less about your own restoration and more about maintaining an invisible relational thread. Sleep is when you need to return fully to yourself. That doesn't mean pushing others away. It means choosing a space where your energy is not called outward. Let the photo live on the nightstand or in your phone, but under the pillow, it keeps your emotions on a leash you might not feel until morning. Fourth, keys. Keys symbolize access, opportunity, progress. They're powerful objects. We use them to open doors, start engines, unlock safes. They are literal and symbolic agents of movement. But when placed under the pillow, that energy flips. Instead of representing freedom, keys take on the vibration of tension. Wait, because the subconscious associates them with uncompleted action. Keys belong to tasks. Something needs to be opened. Somewhere needs to be reached. Something is waiting to be dealt with. When the key rests too close to your subconscious space, it reminds the body that something is unfinished. That signal creates subtle pressure. Your thoughts circle questions of access, responsibility, movement. Rest requires the opposite, the sense that nothing must be done. Nothing is locked. Nothing is waiting. And most importantly, that you don't need to hold the tools of the outside world while your inner world regenerates. Place keys on a tray, on your dresser, near the front door, but not under your head. Fifth, used receipts, paper money, or even coins unrelated to energetic practice. While currency is part of life, its presence under your pillow, especially when unintentional, can pull your energy toward financial calculation. Receipts symbolize spending, accounting, trade. Paper money carries countless energy imprints, not just from you, but from every hand it's passed through. These objects carry tension around value, exchange, debt, and responsibility. Even a single bill can activate subtle thoughts. Did I overspend? Did I forget something? How much is enough? This isn't about being superstitious. It's about pattern recognition. When your sleep space includes reminders of financial activity, your mind remains engaged in assessment. You're not just lying on a bed, you're lying on unresolved value judgments. And even if those thoughts never reach the surface, they hold you in an energetic field of transaction rather than release. Unless the coin or note is placed with symbolic intention, like the feng shui coin for stability, it should not rest beneath your head. Each of these objects, in their own way, interferes with what might be called energetic coherence. Your sleep is when the body attempts to unify its signals, to reconcile what's happened, what's felt, what's desired, and what needs to be released. But when the area beneath your head holds fragmented or confusing signals, that coherence is broken. Your rest becomes choppy, your dreams become crowded, your mornings begin with more fatigue than clarity. This isn't mysticism, it's observation. The space under your pillow is intimate, it is private, it is energetically porous. What you place there either supports integration or fragments it. And those fragments, left unchecked, accumulate. Over days, weeks, months, they can change not just how you sleep, but how you think, how you act, how you live. So the next time you consider sliding something under your pillow for convenience, pause. Ask yourself, does this item close a loop or leave one open? Does it calm the field or stir it? Is it helping me return to myself or keeping me tethered to what I thought I'd left outside the bedroom? If you can answer with clarity, you'll know whether that item belongs there. And if not, remove it. Let your sleep be uninterrupted. Let your mind reset fully. Let your field become whole again. Not because you bought anything new, but because you finally chose less. The fewer unfinished signals beneath your head, the clearer your energy. And in that clarity, sleep becomes something greater than rest. It becomes renewal. Final in the end, this was never about the objects themselves. Not the salt, not the coin, not the wood. It was about the intention behind them. What you allow into the most vulnerable part of your day and what you choose to carry into your sleep. These aren't superstitions. They're signals. Quiet, symbolic cues that remind your energy field of what matters. Clarity, direction, stability. You're not placing these beneath your pillow to force an outcome or to beg the universe for favors. You're placing them there as a gesture of alignment, to communicate clearly with your own field, to reinforce a choice that your rest deserves to support your future, not escape from your present. In a world that constantly pulls your attention outward, these practices are about turning gently inward. Energy isn't complicated, but modern life is. The emails, the timelines, the noise, the unfinished conversations, they follow us everywhere, even into our dreams. That's why simplicity is no longer optional. It's medicine. And the space beneath your pillow is one of the last sacred places left untouched by performance and productivity. Use it wisely. Protect it. Let it become a space where the story you're living aligns with the life you're quietly building. Not because you forced it, but because you rested with intention. So tonight, before you close your eyes, ask yourself, what is the tone I want tomorrow to carry? Choose what supports that answer. Let everything else go. Because your pillow doesn't just carry your head, it holds the tone of your future. And what you place beneath it tonight might quietly decide how tomorrow meets you. If this video sparked something in you, if it brought you home of clarity, peace, or a new idea, I invite you to share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment below and tell me which object resonated with you the most, or if you've ever tried something like this before. And if you haven't already, subscribe to New Day Mindfulness. With your support, we're working toward 2,000 followers, so we can continue creating meaningful, grounded content that speaks not just to the mind, but to the spaces between. Thank you for being here. Rest well, and let your sleep do more than restore you. Let it remind you of who you are becoming.